Hi, my name is Joshua Schmidt. I've been teaching math at McCook Central for the last 6 years. Over that time, I've been trying to customize my classroom to fit the needs of every learner every day. Today, I'm going to show you two of my favorite strategies, specifically menus and choice boards, to try to help you customize your own classroom.
Before I start, I want to talk about my goals in customization. There are three main components that I try to incorporate into my classroom: individual pace, appropriate levels, and authentic student choices. One of the reasons why I like using menus and choice boards so much is they have the ability to use all three of these components at the same time. Since I'm a math teacher, my examples are going to be math focused. However, I don't want it to appear that this or any other customization strategy is specific to one type of content. Instead, I'm hoping to show you some of the reasons why I like these methods while sparking ideas about how you can use them in your own classroom. Let's start with menus. These are split into three main parts. Sticking with the food theme, those parts are called appetizers, entrees, and desserts. As we start to look at each type, pay attention to the color coding. Assignments or projects that are further to the right should be, on average, a higher level than the projects on the left. I've worked very hard with my students over the last few years to try and make them more cognizant of their own learning, and this has been our way to try and accomplish that goal. Appetizers is the place for baseline learning. Specifically, any videos, worksheets, notes, computer-based assignments, and other things like that would be included here. In this menu, students do a wide range of activities to cover the topics of area, perimeter, angles, compound figures, and designing shapes. All of that is mixed together. In order to learn these topics, my students will sometimes do videos, notes, and lecture, but that's not included in this specific menu. We also do iExcel, which is an online software that we use in our school. iExcel is our equivalent of a traditional learning environment. Everything there is split apart into very specific topics. We also use a variety of online resources, of which Engage New York is my favorite. I'm a big fan of it because it works for our higher level learners as well as our students who need as much background knowledge as possible, so it's a really helpful mixture. We also use online games, most often from the site Manga High. And if you've ever heard me present before, you know how much I love Manga High. The students really like it too, and it's a good tool for students who need to be pushed harder and further. However, no matter which option the students pick, the goal is the same. I want every student to learn the maximum amount of knowledge that they can. By the end of the appetizers, I would hope that every student has the knowledge required to start applying that to real-world situations. Which brings us to the entrees. For me, entrees are as close to 100% project-based as I can be. When I have the opportunity, I try to move those topics across content areas, but some skills make that more possible than others. Geometry is a topic where I could find numerous real-world projects, and the challenge became more so to find the ones that were most valuable to my students. Every assignment or project that I pick has a specific student or type in mind. Therefore, I had to narrow it down to make sure that everything on the menu was going to be used by someone, and I believe that it was truly valuable for that person. So every project on the entree has its own point value as well as the appetizers. I try very carefully to try to not punish students for picking harder or more lengthy projects. Therefore, you notice that projects that take longer are worth more points. I think it's important to work with your students to create an appropriate schedule and pace. Especially in menus, it's very easy for students to fall behind. In my classroom, we create a schedule at the beginning of each week. I sign off on that student's schedule, and then we journal about our progress in learning at the end of the week. However, no matter what you do, I do think that a minimum classroom pace is absolutely vital. Finally, the last part of the menu is the desserts, where the students prove their mastery of the content. I still use mostly traditional assessments, but I have a strong focus on teaching the students how to prepare and study for those assessments. Desserts is my opportunity to practice those skills. Students are not allowed to move on from content until they've proven to me that they've mastered it. So it's very important for the student to, instead of complete content, they have to truly learn the content. Now let's hear some student opinions on menus and choice boards.
Working at my own speed, because if I'm behind on something, I can have more time on it. And if I don't understand it, I can just keep asking people, like, are you, if, like, what this means or something, so that I can have more time to learn it.
I prefer working at my own speed, since I get some stuff it'll be really hard, some stuff it'll be really easy. So if I'm like really good at something, I could get more ahead.
You think you learn best with a project. What about you, Caitlin? Do you disagree?
Yeah, I don't like projects.
What would you do instead? How do you feel like you would learn best instead of a project?
Probably worksheets or IXLs.
Okay. What about you guys? You feel like there's a time when you would prefer to do a project or something else?
I would prefer IXLs.
I prefer like mega high Excels.
For IXLs, if I get a problem wrong, it'll show you what you did wrong and how you solve it and stuff. And for worksheets, you could either have a hard difficulty or kind of easier difficulty.
First of all, what is Manga High? We should probably explain
Mega
that.
High is a website full of math games that you can do and learn different projects and studies about other stuff like geometry or angles and multiplication, all that.
Why do you like Manga High? I know
They're
Cole was.
games.
You like them because they're games? Are they?
You have an excuse to play games.
That is a good point.
Educational.
They are actually really educational. How would you rate them difficulty-wise? Like if you had an IXL versus a Manga High game, which would be more difficult?
I'd say they'd be about the same,
Okay.
because the
Depends.
levels, sometimes the levels will get harder and then the IXLs will get harder at the same time.
Now on to choice boards, or I've also called these blended learning checklists in the past. These have a few differences with menus, but they do seek to achieve the same goal. While a menu usually combines all of the topics into one large group, a choice board is slightly more spread out. As you notice on the left, I listed the topics that the students will be covering inside of this choice board as separate units, or at least separate sections within the unit. And I make sure that the students are the ones who have the responsibility pushed on them. So by listing the topics that they need to learn, the students then know when they're ready to move on from the content. For each section, I do list a recommended amount of work I think the students need to complete, but many students do more or less than that recommendation based upon their skill level. Once we go into each skill, the options are leveled, just like the menu. However, instead of having all of the projects in one place, I try to have 1 or 2 projects available throughout each section. The sections are also a bit easier to follow on Choiceboards. This one has them labeled as G1, G2, G3, and so on. So it is a bit more parent-friendly. There are 9 total sections. There are 3 quizzes and 1 test in this entire choice board. This contrasts to the menu, which only has 1 test at the end of the unit. So you do have more opportunities for traditional assessments. There are strengths and weaknesses of each type, but a choice board does allow for more control over pace as well. Still, you're going to be the expert on your classroom and your students, so modifying anything I've shown you today to fit your situation is vital. I'm hoping you enjoyed this video on menus and choice boards. If you wanted to see any of my content as it's used in my class, please go to my website. However, remember that anything you see there is a skeletal outline. Not everything shown is used with every kid, and not every available assignment is listed on the website. If you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know anytime, either through email or Twitter. I would love to help in any way I can. Good luck.